Okay, so to go move on from where I was telling a story about my cousin and her not trusting me. I definitely understood where she, when she explained it again, why she had trust issues with me. And that all made sense to me. It was years later. So there's so many things had happened in between her kind of telling me that information. The weirdest things, when it comes to guys, we didn't kind of like do things when it came to guys. We didn't go get our nails together. We didn't go shopping together. She would always say things like, I don't even know. I can't remember. Something else came to my head, but it just wasn't something we would do. Oh, she would say that. Oh, it's too much to go shopping with somebody. I get overwhelmed with shopping, so certain things we would cut out. We're best friends, but we would cut out those things, and it would be fine. We tried talking to the like friends that were friends. That didn't go really well. It wasn't the worst thing. The thing about it is, I've been in, my life is very complicated. I have a significant other incarcerated, so things weren't just black and white all the time. Anyway, so yeah, I have to say that because it's not like, you know, it's definitely gray areas all around. But so when we tried the talking to the same friend group guys, I guess I just wasn't it, and that could have contributed to many different things. But there was a time that I held on to where she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going home." They was like, "Let's go to the beach." Da, da, da. She was like, "Oh, I'm going home." Da, 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 da. So I'm thinking, all right, well, my girl's going home, so I'm going home. So I went home. Come to find out, she ended up getting up with her other friend, and they ended up going to the beach. And then she ended up telling me about it later, not really saying da da da, but me just telling me about what happened. And I'm looking at her like, whoa, why couldn't I go to the beach? Like, I don't understand why you didn't, you said you was going home. So things of not understanding between, on my perspective, us really just kept happening. There were so many factors that I could play in my head that, in my perspective, I kept saying, why is this happening like this? There was a one time where I don't really dress up. Back in the day, I used to like dress however, and then I started going to church, and then, so I kind of look like this all the time, or like whatever all the time, for different reasons. And I dressed up, got really nice hair done, and we were at church, and she had left without saying anything to me before church was over. And my mom had came back in and was like, "Oh, your cousin said you look beautiful." I'm like, why couldn't she say to me that I look beautiful? And that kind of followed me because I didn't understand it. Um, but I never brought it up. Because, certain things as friends you don't bring up because you're like, oh, that's petty, that's childish. And a lot of things were. But at the same time, these are the things that played in my head. And um, there was a time, it was like different. We finally got through a stage where we were able to sit down and really talk to each other. Boom, 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 like this. But she would share her perspective and I would share my perspective. Um, what happened was things kept snowballing like that. There was another time that she's super talented, and she wants to, anything she decides to start, she starts. So she was starting her clothing line, and where she's a seamstress, and she wanted me to be a model for her, and I'm really shy, but in the comfort of her own home and with her and I'm all for it. So she dolled me up. She took all these pictures. She did my makeup. She wanted to try doing makeup. She did my makeup, and she took a lot of pictures. And I'm like, can I see the pictures? Can I see the pictures? She's like, I'm gonna edit them and then put them out. And there's so many. I don't know why, but my stomach was huge. But um, but then I never got those pictures, and I was like, or I never seen them out. So it was very confused. I did say something. I'm like, yo, why you didn't put this? She would just kind of look off, like, look at me like, I lost, and then she lost her camera or something like that. I don't know. But I'm just giving you perspective, right? All these things are kind of like, and some of them are not that big compared to someone, you feeling someone allowed you to get jumped, right? And the way my personality is, I'm very verbal, I'm very headstrong. The way her personality with me, and I specifically say with me, because people tend to act different with different relationships. It's not a bad thing, it's just kind of what I've learned that happens. With me is very much pushed back. She's like kind of conservative, hold back. And then, so you really don't know what's really going on all fully. So these were some of the things that kind of built up, snowballed prospectively. One of the big things for me, is she had met a guy, and he didn't live in the same state as us. And this was like a huge turning point for me personally. So her son is my godson. And believe it or not, I didn't make her my daughter's godmother or my best friend at the time. The way, just as off note, the way I kind of did with my daughter's godparents was I had a friend who actually was I knew I was missing someone, was one of my best friends. And this is a very important part, so I need to add this in somewhere, maybe here, and then come back to my cousin, Tawana. She was one of my high school best friends that I hung out with all the time. She did my hair for me. She did my friends' hairs. She was, I asked her to be my daughter's godmother. And you know, sometimes you just see things in people and you just kind of like, you go from there. With her, we were friends, my high school friendship, we were best friends. I told her a lot. The thing about it is my daughter's father was also a friend of hers. I told you guys how I used to put all my friends on. Oh, there's another friend, but that one was not a best friend. She was like an associate, so she doesn't really need. I can bring her up because it's crucial to this conversation. Her name was Jessie. But back to Tawana. So she, you know, like I said, I would like put my friends on with guys. I didn't do that with her, but my daughter's father was no good doing all these different things with the friends around me, and he came for her and she didn't tell me. So at that point I was on some reevaluate my circle type thing, like, why wouldn't you tell me? And she was honest. She said, you know, basically you wasn't gonna even do nothing about it, like you wasn't gonna leave him nothing. I'm like, so what? It's up to me to determine what I want to do. But that kind of put a little strain on our relationship. We were really close, and we're the type of friends that we don't have to be up each other's butt, but when it comes to like getting our conversations out, understanding whatever, she has her understanding, I have mine, and we're free to have that understanding, which made it very detrimental. It made it crucial for me to have a friend like that, because I feel I'm so misunderstood. Whereas she can and will say, you're bugging, I don't know why you're doing this, but whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so that type of friend to have that will verbalize you with you when you're the verbalizer is healthy for friendships, for me to have, because no one wants to tell me anything. Even though she did do that one thing, that's still my friend to this day. That's my daughter's godmother. She's the one who I chose when I was pregnant at birth. You're my daughter's godmother. Throughout that, people was like, oh, why isn't your best friend Ronnie's the godmother? Didn't you choose your cousin to be the godmother? And it wasn't really that I thought of them. I never thought of them as my daughter's godmother, which is, I can't explain that. This is the honest truth, right? Like, I never really thought of them like, oh yeah, my God. No, that was who I thought of. I thought of her, and I thought of a guy from around my way. My daughter's father thought of the guy I mentioned earlier, that was my road dog, Dewan. My daughter's father thought of him. So those were her godparents. But the more people was like, oh, you should let this person be a godmother. This person will be a good godmother. I kind of let that happen. Like, okay, you can be the godmother. Okay, you can be. But honestly, no. She has 3 godparents originally, 2 for me. But that's a story for another day, because right now I kind of did away with one of them for different reasons. But whatever, back to my cousin. So, where was I? So yeah, the guy. So they started dating. It was about 2 weeks. Let's say 3. Let's just give it 3 weeks. I don't really know the date, so I cannot be accurate. But she was into him and he was into her, and she had called me, and like I said, I'm her son's godmother, and she called me and she told me, she might move out of the state and to go live with him. And I was like freaked out, like completely freaked out. Like, no, one, my godson, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had a very special bond with him, and I was freaked out too, her, like, what the fudge? But she freaked out on me and was on some, you're not supporting me. And I'm just like, I'm not supporting you. I'm just verbalizing my sadness. So in retro, right? If someone comes to you with this awesome news that they feel like they're about to change their life, and you're like, ooh, no, don't leave me, then I can understand where a person would be like, yeah, no, that's not the response I wanted. You're supposed to be happy for me no matter what. Reality, that's not me in that moment, because we've never been apart from each other since we've been together this way as best friends. So there's so much for someone to be just like rip me out your life and be like, oh, I'll see you from a distance, bye-bye, when we already talked about moving in, buying houses together and doing all these things. Now none of that exists, so it's very confusing. But yeah, it became a problem, and we got into a big thing. We tried to sit down and have a conversation about it over food, and it didn't work out too well. Our gap, we had our church apostle, our pastor, she was kind of our gap to kind of like try to sit down and mesh things out. And it did end up going back together. Mind you, when I say my best friend, my cousin, I told you, like, I love to laugh. She's freaking hilarious. When you have those laughs where you just hold your stomach and you pee on yourself no matter what, and you're just cracking up, that is that person. She is her. So it was very, 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 very difficult. But we kept trying, but we weren't being brutally honest with each other. And I definitely wasn't being brutally honest with myself, because I was still trying to find Leah, whatever. So what happened? We kept going through those type of scenarios. Just something would happen, our feelings would get hurt, someone would say one thing, we'd get in public and be offended and then lash out on each other. And just basically intentions, really not knowing one another's intentions, but assuming one another's intentions. There's evidence, there's things that's just, okay, no, that's clear, taking a shot at me. Oh no, that's clear disrespect, you know what I mean? So then we kept trying to talk. We had church family, and our church family, there became a division. Like, going into the church, we would look at, I seen people gravitate towards her. I had this face where I said back, I look at people like this. No one's coming towards me, which is fine, because facial expressions is a thing, but getting to know somebody is a whole different thing. But I don't care. So, I seen a lot of people in our church really going towards her. Oh, da da da. Some kind of, hating on her, and some kind of like embracing her, which was totally fine with me, because I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's go ahead, do your thing, but I'm here. I'm always gonna be here. But that's another chapter, so I'm gonna stop this video and go to the next chapter, and yeah.